Meet Stephanie Smith. She's finally sitting down with a cup of coffee after a long day of teaching third grade. Today's math class was a disaster. It seemed like no matter how she tried to explain the idea of adding fractions to her students, they just didn't get it. Stephanie knew she couldn't simply throw the concept out, but what could she do to make tomorrow's lesson better? What was really going on in the minds of her students? Stephanie decided to sit down with her laptop and think about what was really happening and what she could do to change things. After pulling up her lesson plan for the day, she went through each section of the plan and typed out some notes about what was going on in the classroom. The instruction part of the plan called for her to show examples of how to add fractions to her students. She remembered writing the fractions on the board and walking through each step, but there were a lot of blank expressions staring back at her. There's got to be a better way, she thought, but what is it? Stephanie called up her colleague, Mary Rodriguez, to see if she had any helpful insight for her. Mary, I just can't seem to get through to my students. I wrote all of the steps on the board, but my students never seem to reach that light bulb moment. What am I not seeing? Stephanie, I'm not sure. Why don't you share your lesson plan with me on Google Docs? Maybe something will stand out when I can see how your plan works from start to finish. Okay, Mary, I'll upload it for you right away. I really appreciate your feedback. No problem. Here's another idea. Why don't you upload tomorrow's math plan too? When you're teaching tomorrow, record your math class. We can look at it together tomorrow afternoon. Let's use your written lesson plan as a guide and see how it actually works out during your instruction time. That's a great idea, Mary. Sometimes it's hard for me to really remember everything that happened, but using a video recorder will definitely help me see where my strengths and weaknesses are. Stephanie hung up the phone and went to work uploading both of the lesson plans. In no time, Mary had made some suggestions on her document. Mary pointed out that Stephanie could have used some visual aids or manipulatives. Stephanie couldn't believe that she hadn't thought of that before and went to work making some updates for the next day's lesson. Later the next afternoon, Stephanie and Mary sat down to watch the video of the day's math lesson. Mary shared some valuable insights about the activities that Stephanie's students seemed most engaged with. The two teachers brainstormed ways that Stephanie could incorporate more interaction for her students. Later that evening, when Mary had more ideas, she wrote them on Stephanie's Google Doc and uploaded the changes for Stephanie to see. Having someone to bounce ideas off really helped Stephanie to grow in her teaching abilities. A few days later, Mary was having a problem of her own, and she came to Stephanie to get some advice. Mary felt like her students and their parents were always confused about assignments that were coming up. She tried to send notes home and have students write out assignments, due dates in their planners, but it wasn't really making a difference. During her planning period, Mary wrote Stephanie an email. Stephanie, what do you do to communicate important details to your students and their parents? My students aren't writing down everything they need to remember, and I know that the notes I'm sending home aren't making it into parents' hands. Do you have any creative ideas? Stephanie sent her email reply and said, Mary, what if you created a web page? You could include all of the important ideas for your class, like assignment instructions and due dates, information about your upcoming field trip, and even links to websites that can help your students and parents while they work on homework. That's a great idea, Stephanie. I know there are some free website builders available to teachers. I'm going to work on that tonight. I'll test it out and let you know how it goes. The next day, Mary emailed all of the parents from her class with a link to her new web page. She invited them to check the page regularly and communicate with her through the web page if they had any questions or ideas to share. The next week, Rosie's mother sent her a message thanking Mary for the science project explanation that was posted on the web page. Rosie wasn't sure exactly what had to be included, and the explanation answered all of their questions. Now Rosie's project was almost finished, and she was confident about what she had created. Stephanie and Mary learned a valuable lesson about including technology into their teaching practice. First of all, technology can help teachers reflect on what's happening in their classrooms. Stephanie shared a digital copy of her lesson plan with Mary, and Mary was able to immediately provide some feedback. Stephanie also used recording tools to capture what was really happening in the classroom. Together, they used technology tools to reflect on what was going on and collaborate on a solution. Next, the teachers learned how technology can help them to communicate more effectively with their students and parents. Using tools like a web page allows them to make information available to students and parents in a way that is accessible anytime, anywhere. Stephanie and Mary will be on the lookout for more ways to incorporate technology into their teaching practice.